I never thought my life would turn into the kind of story people read on their phones between coffee breaks. I was just a regular guy from Ohio, the kind who knew every pothole on the drive to work and every creak in the hallway at home. My name is Mark. I install HVAC systems, I pack my lunch in plastic containers, and until a few months ago I would have bet anything that my wife, Jenna, loved me the way I loved her. We'd been together 12 years. We had a little brick house at the end of a cul-de-sac, a golden retriever that shed on everything, and a 10-year-old son named Logan who thought the world of his mom. Jenna worked part-time at a dental office, 2 days at the front desk and 1 day helping in the back. The rest of the time she was home, running the house with the kind of efficiency that made me joke she should manage a baseball team. But something changed that spring. It started small, the way these things always do. Jenna began running errands a lot more often. Quick trips to the store that stretched from an hour into 3. Shopping bags with nothing inside except a scented candle or a single t-shirt that didn't look like it cost the time she'd been gone. Her phone, once abandoned on the kitchen counter, now traveled everywhere with her. She laughed at messages she didn't explain. When I asked, she said it was just group chats with the girls from her old job. I wanted to believe that. I really did. One Tuesday evening, I went to toss a load of laundry into the washer and found a receipt in her jeans pocket from a gas station outside of town, way past any store Jenna usually visited. The timestamp showed 11 in the morning, same time she'd told me she was at the grocery store near our house. I stared at the slip of paper while the washer filled with water, my heart thudding like someone knocking from inside my chest. Could have been harmless. Maybe she'd met a friend for coffee. Maybe the grocery store had been crowded so she'd gone somewhere else. I tried to talk myself into those explanations, but doubt sat in the back of my mind like a stain that wouldn't wash out. The next weekend, she went shopping again. She wore lipstick I hadn't seen in years, a deep red that made her look like the 23-year-old I'd met in college. She fussed with her hair longer than usual, spraying perfume on her wrists and behind her ears. I hugged her in the doorway, breathing in that scent I used to connect with date nights and anniversaries. "Don't wait up for me if I take forever," she joked. "You know how I get in the clearance aisle." Logan sat on the couch, video game controller in his hands, sneakers still half untied. "Can I come with you, Mom? I need new cleats." She froze for a heartbeat, just long enough that I noticed. Then she smiled. "Next time, buddy. I'll bring you something home." He shrugged and went back to his game, but the way she had hesitated grabbed me by the throat. When the front door closed behind her, I stood there, fingers on the knob, feeling like there was a sign I'd missed somewhere along the way. For a couple of hours, I tried to distract myself. I grilled burgers in the backyard, tossed a football to Logan, laughed when the dog chased it instead. But every time Jenna's name popped up on my phone screen with a short, "Everything okay?" text from my own mother or a work notification, my stomach clenched. Around 5, Logan and I were inside, putting dishes in the sink when he said it. "Dad, Mom's gone a long time. Do you think she forgot about my cleats?" It was a simple question, but it snapped something in me. I dried my hands on a towel and checked the Find My Phone app I'd once installed on Jenna's device when she'd lost it at a friend's house. We'd never turned it off. I told myself I just wanted to make sure she was safe. Her little blue dot wasn't at any mall. It wasn't near Target or the outlet center or even downtown. It hovered next to a strip of road by the river, a place with a gas station, a car wash, and, as far as I knew, nothing else. My throat went dry. "Hey, bud," I said as lightly as I could. "How would you like to surprise Mom? Maybe we can meet her and grab ice cream." Logan's face lit up. "Really? Can we pick my cleats after?" "Sure," I lied, grabbing my keys. The drive took about 20 minutes. The late afternoon sun slanted across the highway, turning the asphalt almost silver. Logan chattered about baseball practice from the back seat, but his words came to me like they were underwater. I kept glancing between the road and my phone, watching Jenna's location barely shift. When we turned off at the exit, my hands were damp on the steering wheel. I rolled down the window a crack, letting cool air cut through the car. The gas station came into view, the bright signage reflecting off the windshields of cars by the pumps. Behind it, There was a small gravel lot near a line of trees leading down to the riverbank. Her dot pulsed somewhere back there. "Why is Mom at a gas station?" Logan asked. "Maybe she stopped for a drink," I said, forcing a smile he couldn't see. "We'll say hi and then head to the sports store." I parked near the edge of the lot, away from the pumps. The gravel crunched under the tires. Logan unbuckled, eager, but I stopped him with a hand on his shoulder. "Stay close to me, okay? Don't run around this place." He nodded, sensing something in my tone. We walked past the convenience store entrance, the glass door reflecting my tense expression. I expected to see Jenna's SUV right away, but it wasn't near the front. My phone buzzed with the location update. She was only a few yards away, according to the map. We turned the corner of the building, moving toward the back lot where a few cars sat in the shade of the trees. That was when I saw it. Her silver SUV, parked crookedly next to an old blue sedan. I stopped walking. Logan bumped into my side, confused. "Is that Mom's car?" he asked. My mouth had gone so dry it hurt to answer. "Yeah, that's hers." The windows were fogged slightly despite the mild weather. The engine wasn't running. There were no shopping bags visible inside, just Jenna's purse on the passenger seat and a jacket crumpled in the back. My heart pounded loud enough that I swore Logan could hear it. Somewhere in my head, a voice whispered that we should leave, that whatever I was about to see would change everything. And once I knew, I could never unknow. Another voice, harsher, spat back that the not knowing had been eating at me for weeks, and I deserved the truth, whatever it looked like. I handed Logan my keys. "Do me a favor, Buj. Go stand by our car. Okay? Don't go anywhere else. Just wait there." He frowned. "Why? Aren't we going to say hi to Mom?" "We will," I said, trying not to sound as shaken as I felt. "I just need to talk to her alone first. Grown-up stuff." He studied my face, then nodded slowly and trotted back across the gravel. I watched him go until he reached our car, leaned against the door, and started kicking little stones with his sneaker. I took a deep breath that didn't calm me at all and turned back to Jenna's SUV. Step by step, I approached. The closer I got, the more details jumped out. A men's jacket thrown across the dashboard. A pair of shoes, definitely not Jenna's, on the ground just outside the open back door of the blue sedan. My stomach twisted. I could still back out. I could walk away, pretend I'd never been there, let the suspicion stay a shadow instead of becoming a full picture. But then I pictured Logan asking again why Mom was always gone, and I kept walking. When I reached the SUV, I saw movement through the back window. A figure, then another. The sound of muffled laughter, then a gasp. My chest tightened so hard I thought I might pass out. My hand shook as I grabbed the rear door handle. For a moment, I just stood there, the metal cool under my fingers, listening to the pounding in my ears. I thought about anniversaries, about late-night talks in our little kitchen, about the time Jenna had cried when we brought Logan home from the hospital because she said she'd never felt so happy. Then I yanked the door open. The world compressed into a single instant. Jenna, scrambling, her face pale with shock. A man I had never seen before, just as startled, both of them tangled in a mess of clothes and limbs. Skin where there should have been fabric. The air inside the car thick with the perfume I'd breathed in at our front door, and something else I didn't want to name. For a heartbeat, nobody spoke. Jenna's eyes locked on mine, and in them I saw panic, guilt, and a flicker of something that hurt more than all of it. Resignation. Like she'd known this might happen eventually. "Mark," she whispered, reaching for the scattered clothes. "I can explain. I don't remember deciding to move." My body surged forward on a wave of anger and betrayal, years of trust collapsing in a single rush. The stranger tried to scoot away, hands raised, stammering something about misunderstanding. My fist clenched on instinct. And right there, in that gas station lot, with my son only a few yards away and my marriage shattered at my feet, I did the thing I'd always promised myself I was above. I swung at him. I didn't register the impact of my punch until the stranger hit the ground with a surprised grunt. It wasn't cinematic or wild, just a quick hit fueled by months of suspicion and one moment of undeniable truth. I stepped back, breathing hard, my pulse thundering so loudly that the entire world seemed to vibrate around it. Jenna scrambled to pull her clothes together, her voice shaking. "Mark, please just listen. Don't make this worse." "Worse?" I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I found you here, like this, and you're worried about worse." The stranger sat up, rubbing his jaw, avoiding eye contact. He looked like an office type, button shirt half on, hair a mess, scared enough to keep quiet. Good. I wasn't looking for a conversation. I could feel Logan watching from across the lot, even though he was too far to hear anything. The thought of my son seeing any of this crushed whatever anger I had left and replaced it with something colder, heavier. Jenna reached for me, but I stepped back. "Don't," I said. "Just don't." She dropped her hand, eyes glassy. "It wasn't supposed to." "Yeah," I cut in. "I'm sure it wasn't." I gave the other guy a long look, the kind that makes someone rethink life choices. "Get your things and go. Now." He didn't argue. He grabbed his shoes, practically tripping over himself as he hurried to his car. The engine sputtered, then roared, and he sped out of the lot like he feared I might change my mind. Maybe I would have. Hard to say. Jenna stood there wrapped in guilt, shame, and a blouse she couldn't button fast enough. I turned away and walked toward Logan, every step heavier than the last. "Dad?" he asked as I reached him. "Why were you yelling?" I forced a calm smile. "Mom and I just had a disagreement. We're going home." He nodded slowly, trusting me the way only a child could. That hurt more than anything I'd witnessed. Jenna approached us carefully. She tried to speak, but I lifted a hand. "Not now. Let's get home." The drive back felt endless. Jenna sat in the passenger seat, trembling. Logan hummed along to the radio, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing only inches away. I gripped the wheel, making sure my voice stayed level whenever he asked anything. When we pulled into the driveway, Logan hopped out with the dog greeting him instantly. "I'll be inside," he called, running toward the house. Once the door shut behind him, silence swallowed the car. Jenna finally spoke. "I didn't plan for this. I made a mistake. A terrible one." "Which time?" I asked sharply. "Or was today the only day you got caught?" She flinched. "Mark, please." I stepped away from the car and faced her. "You told me you were shopping. You told me you needed space. You lied every time you left the house." "I know," she whispered, "and I hate myself for it. I don't have excuses." I laughed bitterly. "That much is true." She wiped her eyes. "He isn't important. It wasn't love. It was stupid. I was stupid." "Stupid doesn't cover it," I said. "You dragged our son into this without him even knowing. You told him you'd bring him something today. He sat at home thinking you forgot." Tears streamed down her face. "I know I hurt you. I know I broke everything. But I want to fix what I can. I want to explain." I looked at the window where Logan's silhouette moved inside. My shoulders sagged. "You're going to explain," I said, my voice low. "But not tonight. Not to me." She blinked. "Then to who?" "To the one person who deserved honesty today," I said. "Our son." Jenna covered her mouth. "Mark, wait, he's too young. He doesn't need to know." "Not the details," I cut in. "But he needs to know you've been lying. He needs to hear you say you're sorry. He deserves that much." Her expression folded, a mix of fear and regret. "And after that?" she asked quietly. "After that," I said, "we figure out where you're staying for a while." Her knees nearly buckled. "You're kicking me out?" "I'm asking for space you didn't respect in the first place." She didn't argue. She nodded slowly, like someone accepting a sentence they knew they earned. I walked inside, my mind racing, my heart aching, but my purpose clear. If I couldn't protect my marriage, I could still protect my son from confusion and secrets. I could still choose truth when everything else had fallen apart. Behind me, Jenna followed, wiping tears from her cheeks, bracing herself for the hardest conversation of her life. And I knew this wasn't the finale. It was the beginning of a reckoning neither of us could escape. I stood in the hallway. For a moment, letting the quiet of our home settle around me. The walls, the pictures, the familiar smell of laundry detergent. They all felt different now, as if the truth outside that gas station had seeped into everything. Logan was in the living room building a tower from plastic blocks, humming an offbeat tune only kids could invent. He looked so calm, so certain his parents were the good guys. Jenna wiped her face once more and nodded at me, waiting for direction like someone walking into a courtroom. "You're talking to him," I said softly. "But I'm staying right here." She swallowed hard and approached the couch. "Hey, sweetheart," she said, her voice uneven. "Can you pause for a second? Mom needs to talk to you." Logan looked up, innocent eyes wide. "Did I do something wrong?" "No," she said quickly. "No, honey. This is about me." He put a block down, confused but listening. Jenna took a breath. "I haven't been honest with you lately. I told you I was shopping today, but I wasn't. And I've been saying things that weren't true. And that's not okay. I'm really sorry." He blinked at her, trying to process it the best a 10-year-old could. "So, you lied?" "Yes," she said, her voice breaking. "I did. And it was wrong." Logan nodded slowly, then looked at me. "Is Mom in trouble?" I knelt beside him. "She hurt our feelings. And when grown-ups hurt each other, they have to fix it, just like kids do." He looked between us, then at his mother again. "Are you going to stop lying?" "Yes," Jenna said immediately. "I promise." He considered that, then returned to stacking blocks. "Okay, but don't forget my cleats next time." Those words hit Jenna harder than anything I'd said that day. She let out a sob, quiet but sharp, and stepped into the kitchen to collect herself. I sat with Logan a few more minutes, helping him build a crooked but impressive tower, before guiding him toward the backyard where the dog was begging for attention. The moment he stepped outside, I felt Jenna behind me. "Thank you," she whispered, "for not ruining him with the details." "This was never about revenge on him," I said. "He didn't ask for any of this." Silence hung between us until she spoke again. "What happens now?" "You're staying with your sister," I answered. "At least for now. We both need time. I need to think without lies in my house." She nodded, accepting it. "I'll pack." I expected that to be the hardest part of the night, but life loves piling on weight when you're already sinking. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, another call. Same number. Jenna peeked through the bedroom doorway. "Are you going to answer?" I did. "Hello." A shaky male voice came through. Mark, it's Kyle. From earlier." I tightened my jaw. "How'd you get my number?" "Public record search. Please don't be mad. I need to apologize." "You don't need to." "No, I do," he insisted. "I didn't know she was married. She told me she was separated. I wouldn't have. Look, I'm not asking forgiveness. I don't want this making your life harder than it already is." I exhaled slowly. "You made a choice." She made a choice. "And now I'm making mine. That's all." "I get it," he said. "And no hard feelings about earlier. You had every right." I ended the call. No reason to keep talking. Back in the bedroom, Jenna was folding clothes with trembling hands. "I'm sorry," she whispered again. "You've said that," I replied. "I need proof now, not words." She packed quietly, leaving the house slower than someone heading to a car, more like someone walking away from a life they built brick by brick. When the door closed behind her, I leaned against the wall and breathed for what felt like the first time all day. The weight didn't vanish, but it shifted into something manageable, something almost empowering. That's when I made a decision. I wasn't letting my life break over this. I wasn't letting betrayal define me or my son. The next week, I filed for a separation, not divorce, not yet. I wanted clarity first. I wanted therapy, stability for Logan, and a plan that didn't run on anger. That was my version of revenge, building something better than the mess she created. Jenna texted daily at first, trying to repair what she'd torn apart. I kept replies brief and neutral. No yelling, no bitternis. Calm distance, that was the real punishment for someone who took trust for granted. Logan adjusted easier than I expected. Kids are resilient when adults keep things steady. We cooked frozen pizzas, fixed his bike, watched baseball, and somehow life found a new rhythm. 2 months later, Jenna asked if we could meet. Not a plea, not desperation, just a request. We met at a coffee shop near the courthouse. She looked different, tired but sincere. She slid a paper across the table. A written confession. Signed. I want to make custody simple, she said. You didn't deserve what happened, and I don't want to fight. I'm taking responsibility. The old version of me might have accepted that with open forgiveness. The new version nodded, grateful but firm. Thank you, I said. We'll work on being better parents. But we won't go back to what we were. Not now. Maybe not ever. She wiped a tear but didn't argue. I understand. As I walked out of the cafe, sunlight hit my face, warm and clear. For the first time in months, I felt free. Not from her, but from the uncertainty, the knots twisting in my chest, the constant suspicion. My revenge wasn't dramatic or loud. It wasn't a fight or a scream or a broken home. It was choosing peace over chaos, purpose over pain, dignity over destruction. Logan ran to me when I got home, shoes covered in grass, the dog close behind him. Dad, want to see my pitching arm? And just like that, the future looked brighter. Not perfect, not repaired, but mine, finally mine.